Immortal and Martial Dual Cultivation. Chapter 16. Counter-Attack of the Good for Nothing. Xiao Jian soared into the air with a jump and punched. A fireball burned on his fist, releasing a strong heat wave into the surroundings. His killing intent caused Xiao Chen to freeze up. Xiao Jian smiled coldly. With his speed as a peak martial disciple, it would be impossible for Xiao Chen to escape. This Infernal Chop was a medium-grade yellow-ranked martial technique that he had cultivated for several years, so he was certain that he would finish this with one hit. Xiao Chen's expression turned grave. Seeing Xiao Jian's speed, he knew that he definitely could not avoid it. Since he could not avoid it, then he would receive it head-on. With the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation frantically circulating inside him, Xiao Chen stomped ruthlessly on the ground and flew upwards. His Purple Thunder True Fire poured out of his right hand with a roar, encasing his entire right fist. This was the result of Xiao Chen's cultivation for 6 days. He did not believe that the true fire of an immortal cultivator would be unable to compete against this ordinary fire. Bang! Their fists met in mid-air, and Xiao Chen was forced back a few steps before he managed to stabilize himself. The blood and qi in his body were in turmoil, but he quickly circulated his essence to calm the fluctuations in his blood and qi. It seemed that his raw strength was still slightly inferior to Xiao Jian's strength, as he had a peak martial disciple cultivation. Xiao Jian only had to take a few light steps back to stabilize himself, incessantly sneering at Xiao Chen in his heart. Earlier, when purple flames suddenly appeared on Xiao Chen's right fist, it had scared him quite a bit. However, after the exchange, he realized that looks could be deceiving, as the strength of that flame was only at martial disciple realm. It seemed that this fellow finally condensed his martial spirit, and this strange flame could possibly be his martial spirit. However, when Xiao Jian thought about it, he realized he could make good use of this opportunity today to thoroughly destroy Xiao Chen's martial spirit. He could make Xiao Chen never be able to recover again. However, something strange had happened. That purple flame which had entwined with Xiao Jian's Infernal Chop had not actually extinguished. Xiao Jian pretended it was nothing and just flung his hair around, trying to put out the flames. However, these purple flames were like they had been doused with oil. They continued to burn stronger, continually absorbing the essence on Xiao Jian's palm. He was very shocked and quickly circulated essence to his right palm. Unexpectedly, the purple flames were incomparably stubborn. Even after it was wrapped with a huge amount of essence, it still continued to unsparingly consume the essence that Xiao Jian sent to it. What was going on? Xiao Jian immediately felt frantic in his heart. He began to randomly swing his hands around. However, regardless of how much he swung his hands, this flame was like a leech sticking to his body, unwilling to be flung off. The essence in his body continued to stream towards his palm. After a period of time, the purple flame seemed to have finally consumed all its energy and began to slowly extinguish itself. Xiao Jian finally managed to catch his breath with difficulty, when suddenly there was a crackling sound in the air. When he raised his head, there was a bright and blinding thunderbolt firing towards him. The superior grade yellow rank martial technique, Divine Thunderbreak. Bang! Xiao Jian shrieked out miserably, and his whole body flew off the arena. He was charred black and continuously convulsed. Arcs of electricity jumped around his body. Silence. The surroundings became incomparably silent. The martial hall, which was bustling with noise and excitement earlier, were now absolutely silent. Everyone's mouth were agape in shock. While they stood there, watching all these events unfold. They felt incomparably stupefied. There were even some who stood far back, not knowing what had happened. They all wondered, how did Xiao Jian suddenly fly off the arena? The two of them had only exchanged a blow, and the duel had just started. In the eyes of the audience, this duel would definitely not take too long. The martial realms of these two were simply too far apart. Xiao Chen should be completely helpless and be rendered useless in a single blow. However, the situation had now inverted from their expectations. The audience could not believe it when they saw that the strongest person in the younger generation, Xiao Jian, was actually defeated in one move by the trash stew in the 9th grade spirit refinement. This completely exceeded all their expectations. Xiao Chen looked at the distant Xiao Yulan and gently smiled at her. He then proceeded to leap off the arena and headed towards the gates without even looking at Xiao Jian on the ground. He had stayed his hand earlier and had split his attention to the Purple Thunder through fire. If he struck out with the Divine Thunder Break at its maximum strength, he could have shattered Xiao Jian's martial spirit. The crowd automatically parted a path and looked to Xiao Jian with a complicated expression. Those Xiao clan disciples who used to be on good terms with Xiao Jian did not even dare to look Xiao Chen in the eye. Xiao clan courtyard. The duel was already half a month ago, and in this half a month, Xiao Chen could feel the attitudes of the Xiao clan members towards him changing. Reverence and respect replaced the looks of disdain from the past. This was how the Tianwu continent was like. It was a world where the strong ruled, and only with strength could one obtain the respect of others. Xiao Chen ignored these changed attitudes. Aside from accompanying Xiao Yulan into Mohe City for a few times in the past half a month, he had spent the rest of his time cultivating. The events in Seven Horn Mountain had left a shadow in his heart. There was probably some conspiracy between that mysterious man in blue and the Zhang clan, and it was probably related to the promise of 10 years that would happen a few months later. Although he was not a person of this world, if the Xiao clan lost Seven Horn Mountain, they would definitely lose their standing in Mohe City. With his current strength, if he lost the protection of the Xiao clan, not to mention a martial saint, even a martial grandmaster could easily kill him. Xiao Chen felt a deep sense of crisis. He could only continue to become stronger, which was how he could hold his fate in his own hands in the future. The cultivation of the Purple Thunder through fire had already reached the second layer, and it no longer required the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation to be circulated. With just his will, he could condense the flames. With his great control, the Purple Thunder through fire could now leave his hand and float in the air. Now that he has achieved this level, he had achieved the most basic requirements of refining medicinal pills. Thus, Xiao Chen decided to go to Mohe City to buy a suitable medicine cauldron to try and refine medicinal pills. Mohe City was one of the 8 main cities of the Qizhi County. Within the Great Qing Nation, it could only be considered an ordinary small city. Aside from the original owner of this body, Xiao Chen himself had come here more than once already, so he was familiar with the roads and arrived shortly. Xiao Chen confidently walked to the largest smithy, called Regretful Iron. Its main branch was located at the continent's capital, with the Dong clan backing it. It was said to be the Great Qing Nation's top merchant association. The interior decorations were quite unique, and its shelves were filled with weapons and armors of all color. There were many customers in there, indicating that the business of this smithy was quite good. Xiao Chen approached the shelf, reserved specially for medicine cauldrons. After checking it out for a long period of time, he felt interested in none of them, as these were only made out of ordinary metals. Xiao Chen shook his head and was about to leave when suddenly a bold, heroic voice called out from behind him. "Young Master Xiao, are you here to buy medicine cauldrons?"